Hi, this is Brian, and welcome to another SkyPortal Astronomy video. In this one, I'll be going over recent upgrades that we've made to the classification labeling process, specifically adding the ability for users to vote up or down on classifications that they agree or disagree with. So I'll get right into it by going into a group with some sources that have been classified. And so before I get into the voting, I'll also demonstrate a upgrade we made to the classification search process. So first, under non-classifications, we now have a checkbox that allows you to search for unclassified sources. So if you check this, you'll only get sources back that have not been classified with anything yet. And then over here in the filter by classification dropdown below that, we have a button, the checkbox that requires all classifications that have been specified in the dropdown here. And so I'm going to go select a few of them to show what I mean. So previously, selecting multiple classifications here would join them together with a logical OR. So you'd get sources that had any one of the group of classifications that you specified here. But with the checkbox now, I'm just going to select variable and periodic from the scope phenomenological taxonomy, and then W. Ursae majoris from the site-wide taxonomy. When I check this box, it will require all three of these classifications to be existing for any source that it displays. So I'll just click submit and give it a few seconds to load in those sources. And here they are. And so you see that every single one of them has those three classifications that have been specified in the filter box. So I'm going to go and follow the standard steps for source scanning or labeling. So I'm going to reduce the rows per page to just one. And I'm also going to drop down the additional information for that source. So that's, again, the cutouts and the time series and the phase folded light curve. And so the new voting system that we have is seen when you mouse over any specific classification. And so for each one, I can vote either thumbs down or thumbs up here. And when I do that, it will register my vote and turn the color of the thumb. It'll fill it in, either green here or red here. And if I want to undo that, I just click the same button again, and it unfills that thumb, and the vote is removed. So I can do this for any specific classification here, and I can also do it for all of the classifications at once up here. So the delete button is still up here in the corner if I have the appropriate permissions, but now I can also say thumbs up every single classification at once. This saves a lot of time compared to going through for sources with a lot of classifications, but you'll see now every single one of these has the green thumb, the thumbs up filled in. And I can also, if I click this I here, I can see how many votes have been recorded here. And so in this case, there are 2 votes in favor and no votes against. But by default, this is hidden so that anyone who's voting on these classifications is not biased one way or the other. So I'm going to undo all of my thumbs ups here and just take a look at this source. And so what I'm seeing in the light curve, and it'll come up here again very shortly. This source has been classified either as an RR Lyrae or a W. Ursae majoris, and it was looking like in the phase folded data that it was more of an RR Lyrae type, and so I'm not sure exactly what type though, so I'm going to leave the RRAB without a vote either way. I'm going to vote up RR Lyrae, and I'm going to also vote up pulsating and periodic and variable. And then I'm not sure about RRD, so I'll leave that. I'm going to thumbs down W. Ursae majoris and also the EW phenomenological eclipsing subclass. So now I've gone through and I've got my votes here. So now I'm going to go on to the next source. And here it is. So this one right away, looks like it's eclipsing, and it seems like I got it right with the W Ursae Majoris classification. So I'm going to vote down, or actually in this case, what's quicker for me, rather than going through each one individually, I'm going to use the box up here. I'm going to vote them all up. But then I disagree only with the RRAB classification. So I'm going to vote that one down, but everything else has already been voted up. So I'm going to leave those as is, and with just a few clicks, I am finished with this source. So I'll just look at one more here. All right, so this one, it's saying it's thinking it's either W UMA or Cepheid, and it looks like the period might be off here because the phase folding looks a little strange. So I'm going to click into this one, open it in a new tab, and I'm going to go down to the photometry visualization plot here. Bring up the period tab. It definitely looks like there's something, it's off by a factor of 2. So I will multiply the period by 2, and that looks a lot better. I'm seeing a primary and secondary eclipse here. This seems to be W UMA. So I'm going to go back, and all I need to do is, I disagree with Cepheid, so I'm going to thumbs up everything. But then I'm going to go into Cepheid and vote that one down. And so again, just saves clicks compared to going through each one individually. So now let's say I'm finished for now. I want to take a break, but I want to come back later and do some more labeling, but I don't want to see sources that have already labeled. And so for this, we've added a new column to the group sources called labeling. It's not visible by default, so you have to show columns over here and then check the box. And now you'll see that for this source and for the others previously that I showed, it says it's been labeled by me. And this box is checked automatically. It's triggered by either votes, adding a classification through the post classifications interface down here. And it's also activated if you delete a classification. So any of those actions will check this box, and I'll just go back and show that it has also been labeled by, in these other sources here, the box has been checked. And so this is very helpful for keeping track of what I've done. And when you combine it with a new part of the filtering interface, then you'll see how it'll help you to pick up where you left off. So first, I'm going to scroll down here to the labeled, not labeled section. And when I click either one of those, the by me box will also pop up. So within this group, I can filter by any source that's been labeled by any person or not labeled by any person. I can also specifically choose the ones that have been labeled or not labeled by me. So just to demonstrate that, I'll search for the ones that have been labeled by me. And there are those 3 of them that I just labeled, and they're all here. Now, what may be even a little more useful is to, when I'm picking up where I left off, say I'll put in my same classifications again here, whatever I want to look at, but I only want the ones that have been not labeled by me. It's okay if someone else has labeled them, but I want to do that myself as well. So when I bring those up, it should be the vast majority of the sources that are in this group, because I've only labeled 3 of them. But this will help me to pick up where I left off and continue without seeing sources I've already voted on. And so that is the rundown of the latest changes we've made to this classification labeling interface and behavior. And so thanks for watching, and I will see you in a future video.